Mode 1.
Now, you know, in my last couple videos, I brought up the term player hater. Guys who are player haters. And with even more emphasis in my last video, I talked about the term player, just specifically player. And interesting enough, I got a lot of blowback in regards to my definition, because I told a story that basically I used to post, as most people know, I used to post on this popular message board and discussion forum called AskMencom. Yeah, when it came to relationships, about dating relationships, in the early to mid 2000s, arguably the most popular message board on the internet was AskMencom. Now, it's interesting. On a quick side note, I want you to think about that name, AskMen.com. AskMen.com. And see, this relates to a recent argument I heard related to the manosphere, more specifically the black manosphere. There's been some controversy about should you allow women to participate in discussions that center around men's issues. Well, see, that was an issue over at Ask Men, because the primary basis for AskMen.com was for men to come to that site looking for knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice from other men. That's what that whole site was designed for. Was particularly as it relates to their message boards and discussion forums, was for men to talk about things with other men. But guess who made up arguably probably 60% of the regular and semi-regular visitors to the AskMen.com message boards and discussion forums? Women. Now, if I had to give a rough estimate, I would say probably 60% of the regular and semi-regular posters on AskMen.com, particularly, they had about 5 different discussion forums. The most popular one was the dating and relationships discussion forum. Then they had one for like TV shows and movies, entertainment industry, one for politics, one for news, and one for sports. And yeah, for the dating and relationships discussion forum, man, no less than 60% of the regular and semi-regular posters were women. I found that interesting. That was the one time, and I mentioned this before, that was actually the one time I had just as many, if not more, female haters than male haters. Like, I would say starting with roughly 2008, 2009, no later than 2010, I've had more male haters of me and my Mode 1 approach than I've had female haters, particularly very vocal ones. But yeah, when I was on Ask Men, I actually had, I would say probably at least 2/3 of my haters were women. Because they didn't like me exposing on their message board how duplicitous they were, how manipulative they were, how materialistic they were, and just generally how they took advantage of the men that most guys now would refer to as non-select beta males. Non-select beta males. Yeah, they didn't like the fact that I was exposing that. I got banned from that message board like, what, 7 times. 7 times I got banned. At least 5 or 6 of those times were totally like for bullshit reasons. There was one time I got banned. I think I legitimately violated one of the rules and terms and conditions of the message board. But all the other times, man, I got banned because these women didn't want me enlightening the very naive, delusional, blue pill, beta male types on the message board about women's true nature. So anyway, I found that interesting. But anyway, what I was going to talk about is that I mentioned in my last video that one of my nicknames that was given to me when I was on AskMencom was Mr. Pedantic. Mr. Pedantic. And again, pedantic means you are very meticulous about how terms are used and defined, how terms, various terminology is used and defined. And the specific term that I became most notable for always arguing was the term player. I disagree with the general use and definition of the term player on AskMen.com. A lot of men and women on their message board and discussion forum, they used to describe a player, both lying and manipulative womanizers and upfront, straightforward womanizers like myself. They used to define both as players. And I basically was like, I don't look at guys who are lying, manipulative type womanizers as players. Those are not players to me. And yeah, I would have, anyway, now fast forward, what, almost 20 years later, I'm having this same exchange. Because based on my last video, a lot of guys wrote me back and basically was like, Alan, I like you, man. You my man. But I would have to respectfully disagree with you about your use of the word player. And there's at least 5, 6, 7, 8 plus guys that argue that even guys who are lying, manipulative type womanizers are still referred to as players. And again, well, technically, I never said that those type of guys weren't referred to as players. I know they are. And again, that goes back to what I was talking about on AskMen.com. So I know there's people in society who refer to lying, manipulative type womanizers as players. What I was arguing is not that people don't refer to those guys as players, but I said I don't. So let me clarify that. I never said that other people don't. I said I don't and never will. I personally, Alan Roger Currie, I will never, ever, 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 like, talking about like from now to the day I die, I will never label a guy who's a lying, manipulative, pump and dump type womanizer as a player. In my mind, he is not. Never will be. Period. Period. So for all these guys trying to argue with me and saying, well, there are people who refer to those type of guys as players. Again, technically, I never said that there wasn't. I never said that other people don't refer to those type of guys as players. I said I don't. And I never will. You ain't a player to me, man. Like if I met you, anybody who's on YouTube, I met you face to face and we was talking about hooking up with women and shit, and you let me know that your way of getting women in the bed was by lying to them, misleading and manipulating them, toying with their emotions and shit, I would tell you to your face, I would say, dude, I have no respect for you. You're a bum. You're a liar. You're a manipulator. Zero respect. I've told to the face of some of my closest friends, some of my fraternity brothers. Matter of fact, I don't know if y'all remember, but most of y'all know the basics of my backstory to do with how Mode 1, how I began exhibiting Mode 1. And if you remember my backstory, man, I went against a lot of my own fraternity brothers when I first started being Mode 1. I challenged and in many ways insulted, and now those are the number one guys I was the closest to in college was my fraternity brothers. But I went against you could say probably like 90% of my frat brothers. Because when I first started being Mode 1, I challenged a lot of my frat brothers. I would ask them, I say, man, when you looking to hook up with a woman for casual sex, do you tell them that upfront and straightforwardly, or do you lie to them and bullshit them? Literally, probably like over 95% of my frat brothers are like, oh man, come on, Alan, you gotta lie and bullshit them. You gotta lie and bullshit women to get them to have casual sex with you. You can't straightforwardly tell women that all you want from them is casual sex. You're gonna get rejected. You're gonna get cursed out. You might have a drink thrown in your face. You might get slapped. That's what a lot of my own, not only the just general guys on campus say that, but a lot of my own frat brothers said that. They said, if you go up to a woman and straightforwardly tell her that all you want to do is fuck her casually, they said at minimum, you're going to get abruptly rejected. And at maximum, you're going to get cursed out. You're going to have a drink thrown in your face, or you're going to get slapped. And I was probably the first guy who proved all of those guys, including my frat brothers, wrong. When I started being Mode 1, I basically made the argument, yes, you can get pussy by just straight up telling women that that's all you want. And I proved it. It was during, I remember specifically, it was during the 84-85 school year at Indiana University. The academic year in 1984 and fall of 84, spring of 85. That was the first school year, where I first started being Mode 1 with women, was the 1985 school year. And yeah, I proved just about all my frat brothers wrong. The ones who said that it wasn't possible to be successful with women if you Mode 1. I proved all of them wrong. And what was interesting, first these guys would criticize me and basically had this attitude like, oh, Alan, you'll never be successful getting women to have casual sex with you by just straight up telling them. Then after they saw me in action and saw me getting positive results, guess what my nickname became? And most of y'all know this, the Legend. That's what a few of my frat brothers used to call me. They used to call me D.A. Legend, the Legend. That became my nickname among a certain percentage of my frat brothers. So here's the thing, I went to Urban Dictionary. That's where you get a lot of definitions for slang terminology. What's known as slang terminology is you go to the Urban Dictionary. And I just, out of curiosity, I wanted to see what two terms I looked up. Because there's a term that not too many people been using, but there's at least 2 or 3 guys, if not a little more, been using this term, fuckboy. That's a term that a lot of guys been using. Instead of womanizer or player or ladies man or whatever, they're using the term fuckboy. I don't like that term. And I've told people, I know one person in particular I told is Mumia Obsidian Ali. I told him straight up, I said, dude, that's a goofy ass term. The main reason I told him I don't like the term because it has so many different definitions to it. There is no one definition to it. Anyway, I went to Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary. Hold up a second. Pull it up. I'll pull up some of the, okay. I'll start with fuckboy. Some of the definitions were varied, but mainly a fuckboy is a term used for a lying, manipulative womanizer. Yeah. A lot of guys who are lying, manipulative type womanizers are referred to as fuckboys. But there was at least 2 or 3 other definitions of a fuckboy. Another definition of a fuckboy was a man who uses women for money. Like, for example, a guy who would hook up with a woman that's a financially generous sugar mama and use her for her financial generosity and her material possessions, and then he just dump her. That was one definition of a fuckboy. Another definition was a gay man. Is basically a gay woman. I was going to say a gay womanizer. That's an oxymoron. A gay promiscuous man. That's another term for a fuckboy. Is a homosexual man who pumps and dumps other men. Yeah, that's one of the definitions of a fuckboy. And what else was a definition of a fuckboy? Just basically a guy who's immature, really doesn't have anything going for him other than good dick. Like basically everything about him that doesn't have to do with sex is stuff that would make a woman say, I would never deal with that guy. But the one thing he has going for him is he got some good dick. So those are the other 3 alternatives. But here are 2 definitions of fuckboy that I found on Urban Dictionary. 1, a guy who lies to girls so he can pull as much ass as possible. He thinks he is God's gift to earth and is usually pretty damn beautiful. He will lie to you about planning a future together, and then when you start to get too serious, he will go ghost on you. Fuckboys invented the concept of ghosting. There is only one way to beat a fuckboy. Start dating other guys and ghost him back. This must have been written by a woman. His ego can't handle being ignored. No one intends to date a fuckboy, but if you find yourself in love with a fuckboy, the only way to get him to pick you is to ask God for a miracle. Ask God for a miracle, because it will never happen. He will likely cheat on you no matter what. Do yourself a favor. Stay away from fuckboys. So that was one of the more entertaining definitions of a fuckboy. But yeah, that was what this woman who wrote this, I know this was a woman who wrote this, was generally describing is a lying, manipulative type womanizer. Which is, I'm critical of those type of guys myself. Right. And then let me read a second definition of fuckboy from the Urban Dictionary. The Urban Dictionary. Fuckboy. He will lead girls on just for casual hookups. He will say he's really into you, but doesn't want to deal with all the relationship bullshit just to mess with you. He thinks about himself and only himself all the time, but pretends to be really nice. That sounds like a Mode 2 type guy. A lot of Mode 2 guys will fall in that category. He always walks with his squad, never alone. He will say hi to you once, then won't talk to you for the rest of the day. You have to text them first because they forget. He's seen quiet, but in reality, he's just a fuckboy. Yeah. That's another person trying to demonize the term. Now, see, my main thing with the term fuckboy is that I've had a couple people, mainly in the black side of YouTube, as they call it, try to put me in this category called select fuckboys. I am not a fuckboy. I'm not a fuckboy. Based on my own knowledge of how the term is used and defined, and based on how most of the people define it on Urban Dictionary. I'm not a fuckboy. I don't lie to women to get them in bed. I don't mislead and manipulate women to get them in bed. I don't toy with women's emotions to get them in bed. I don't. Just about all the most popular definitions of fuckboy centered around being a lying, manipulative type womanizer. That, starting with August of 1984, which is when I was 21 years old, up until now, I have never been a liar or a manipulator with women. I get women in bed by straightforwardly telling them, all I want from you is the pussy. Facts. Facts. I don't have to bullshit women. I got the balls and backbone to tell women straight up, all I want to do is fuck you. And a lot of those women gave me the pussy. So, now pushing fuckboy to the side. Pushing that to the side. Now going back to the term player. Here's where some of you all will get some of your vindication. Some of my critics, people who criticize, who came in my comment section and wrote me privately and said, well, Alan, I have to disagree with you. In reality, most people use the term player for both honest, upfront, and honest type womanizers like yourself, as well as lying, manipulative type womanizers. Player is used for both. Well, again, technically, I never argued against that. Technically, I never argued against that. I said that my definition of player, when I use the term player, I'm only referring to guys who are upfront and straightforwardly honest with women about the fact that they want to engage in short-term and or non-monogamous sex. That's what I call a player. But it was interesting when I was looking for a definition on the Urban Dictionary that would basically back me up and co-sign with me, I almost couldn't find one. At least particularly just under the term player. I couldn't find one. Most of the definitions of the term player were talking about a guy who was a lying, manipulative type womanizer. I think I pulled one. Let me, hold on one second. No, I didn't. I thought I did. I didn't pull the term. Okay, the only two terms that came close to being what I call a player, there was two terms. One is the term ladies' man, which is a term I use from time to time. Ladies' man, it had a definition that was in line with how I use player, which is a guy who's honest. And I'll read that one. Ladies' man. A ladies' man is someone who likes girls and has a lot of friends who just so happen to be girls. Typically, a ladies' man is someone who's attractive, smooth, and masculine. Terms I always talk about. Attractive, being confident and masculine, being smooth and seductive. Just wanted to throw that in there. Who's attractive, smooth, and masculine, though can be a little flamboyant. However, a ladies' man is far different from a womanizer, in parentheses, meaning player. A womanizer will lie to get a girl's attention. A ladies' man will be totally honest. A womanizer doesn't respect women. A ladies' man loves women, but shows them respect and is generally good to them. Yeah. So the person who wrote this definition, see, what they would call a ladies' man, I would also call a player. My definition of a player. My definition of a player. Now, if you notice, a lot of times when I use the term player, I will also throw in the word true player. True player. Yeah, I think even when I made my argument on AskMencom, I used the phrase true player. And interesting enough, like I said, when I was on Urban Dictionary, I couldn't find just a definition for the term player itself that was in line with my definition. But I did find one definition under the term true player. True player. Again, which is a term I used to use when I was in my 20s and 30s, and a lot of my closest male friends who were also ladies, men, and players. That's what they would use. Here's the definition from the Urban Dictionary of a true, not just a player, but a true player. Any man who possesses the ability to entice women in any given circumstance while utilizing charm and charisma, and he does not rely on social status or materialistic possessions. Yeah. See? That's a true player, man. So here's what I'll be willing to do as a compromise to the people who gave me all this blowback. I'll be halfway willing to concede that the term player can be used for both an upfront, straightforwardly honest womanizer as well as a lying, manipulative womanizer. But the term true player, and as well as the term ladies' man, applies to motherfuckers like myself. To motherfuckers like myself. So again, y'all can miss me with, first and foremost, y'all can miss me with that fuckboy shit. I ain't no fuckboy. Again, I've had at least a couple of black male YouTubers that have tried to describe me as a fuckboy. I ain't nobody's fuckboy. I don't lie to women to get them in bed. I tell a bitch straight up, all I want to do is fuck you. All I want to do is fuck you. So miss me with the fuckboy shit. And as far as the debate about how I define player versus how other people define player, I still would maintain that for me personally, you're not a true player if you got a lot of women. If you got a lot of women, you ain't no true player, man. Again, going back to my backstory, Mode 1. You guys should remember, I had a conversation once when I was in college with these 3 black women in this sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. They're known as AKAs. And we had a discussion. This is one of the things that led to me becoming Mode 1. And to rehash the story again, these women called themselves picking my brain, and they were asking me basically, they said, Alan, why do a lot of men on campus, including a lot of your own frat brothers, members of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, otherwise known as the Noops, she said, why do a lot of men on campus, including men from your own fraternity, give us women a misleading impression that they want to be our next long-term boyfriend when they really just want the ass? And I said, oh, that's easy. Deep down, they just want casual sex, but they don't have the balls, they don't have the courage to tell you that straightforwardly. And these women, these 3 AKs were basically like, well, why not? And I said, I said, they're obviously afraid you're going to reject them. They're afraid you're going to have some kind of negative reaction. And then I've told this story a bunch of times, but I don't mind rehashing again. First thing they did was they looked at each other. That's what caught my eye. They gave each other this look, like kind of this coded look. It's like they were talking to each other with their eyes. They weren't verbalizing anything. They kind of, all 3 of them just started looking at each other and what I gathered from the way they looked at each other, it was basically they had this attitude like you men just don't get us women. That was basically their general demeanor and disposition. Like, they was kind of like shaking their heads like, you men just don't get us women. And then the one of the 3 AKs, she did verbalize. She said, Alan, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to break it down for you in case you don't know. She said, us women, we know the men who we want to fuck just to be fucking. I never forget her saying that. She said, we know the men we want to fuck just to be. Basically, she was saying, when it comes to short-term, non-monogamous, casual sex, we know the guys we want to engage in that with. And we're more often than not, we're going to let you know that. We're going to let you know if you're in that category. But they were basically saying in so many words that if we got you in the long-term boyfriend category, we don't want you trying to sneak into the casual sex fuck buddy category. We don't want you to do that. If we got you in the boyfriend category, we don't want you trying to sneak into the fuck buddy category. And that's what you're doing when you lie to us and mislead us. That what you're basically trying to do is you're trying to sneak into the fuck buddy category. You're trying to sneak into that category when we don't want you in that category. Now, I know a lot of men that say, well, fuck that, man. Fuck women. I'm going to do what I'm got to do to get the pussy. But see, y'all the same way. None of y'all men can legitimately criticize women for having that attitude because y'all the same way. How do men react when they find out that a woman who they thought was a good girl turns out to be a promiscuous slut? How do most men react when they find that out? When they find out their long-term girlfriend, fiance, or wife who they thought was an innocent, wholesome, prudish or semi-prudish, strictly monogamy-oriented good girl turns out to be a promiscuous slut. Y'all go the fuck off. Y'all go the fuck off. I've seen it with my own eyes. Y'all go the fuck off. Why? Because y'all don't want good girls pretending, y'all don't want sluts pretending to be good girls. Y'all want to keep both women in their respective category. Y'all want sluts to stay in the slut category, and y'all want good girls to stay in the good girl category. That's why a lot of men don't like sexually duplicitous women. Y'all don't want the women who are promiscuous sluts sneaking into the good girl category and presenting themselves as a good girl. See, that's how women feel about boyfriend material versus fuck buddy material. They don't want boyfriend type dudes trying to sneak into the fuck buddy material. And I'm on their side on that. I'm on their side, which is why I'm Mo 1 and why I promote Mo 1. I'm on their side. I'm on the women's side 100%. I don't like dudes doing that shit, man. I think that again, zero. Read my lips, zero. I have zero respect for motherfuckers who trick women into having casual sex with them. I have zero respect for motherfuckers who trick women. And any bad karma that comes their way, I'm all for it. And trust me, y'all know I've highlighted some stories before. I've seen motherfuckers get fucked up for that. The worst situation I told y'all, a friend of my cousin's, this woman came and shot him in the motherfucking head. That's probably the worst of the situation I know. I know, man, a woman who got fucked over by a guy and they had some kind of semi-psychotic older brother or older male cousin. They had that dude go and fuck that dude up. I've seen dudes get their tires slashed, their cars vandalized. I ain't got no sympathy for them motherfuckers, man. None. Zero. Zilch. None. You get what you get. You get what you get. You get what you get. Y'all lying, manipulative woman. I don't have no respect for y'all motherfuckers. None. Zero. Y'all could never hang with me. Ever. Y'all can never be in my inner circle of friends. I'm ended friendships over that shit. Don't respect it, man. But anyway, man. Yeah, I agree with that woman who I interviewed on Blog. She said that's like stealing the pussy. That's like stealing the pussy. See, here's what you guys got to understand, man. And this takes me to something that I've talked about quite frequently, quite a few guys in the manosphere, black manosphere, the 80-20 rule, the infamous 80-20, well, technically it's called the 80-20 rule theory. People, you tend to drop that word theory. See, I first heard about it, it was an article in Esquire magazine in the mid-80s. I mean, because I was still at Indiana University when I first found out about it. And in the article, that's what it was officially called. It was called the 80-20 rule theory, because it wasn't scientifically proven to be true. It was just asserted. But here's where a lot of people, it just shows how I learned in an English class. Once you tell a story to one person, and then that story gets told and retold and retold and retold to 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, 20 people, so on and so on. The more people it's retold to, the more it gets distorted. The more it gets distorted. Like I've had stories to do with me just in the last few weeks, few months that started out one version of the story, and then by the time it got retold, it was totally different. I'm not going to go into details, but there's at least 2 or 3 stories involving me that got told, retold to the point where it's totally different. But yeah, it's officially called the 80-20 rule theory. Here's what most guys get wrong when I hear, not all, but some guys discussing the 80. A lot of guys will define the 80, this goes with definitions. A lot of guys will define the 80-20 rule as women in society only want to date and marry 20% of the men in society. Not true. Not true. Not true. If that was true, our society would have fell apart centuries ago. Real talk. If that was true, our society as we know it would have fell apart centuries ago. So anybody who buys into that definition of the 80-20 rule theory, that's not true. Similar, if not all women, some guys have said, well, the 80-20 rule means that 80% of women only want to have sex, no less than 80% of women only want to have sex with 20% of the men in society. That's also not 100% true. That's not true. It's not 100% true. Here's the true definition. It really has to do with casual sex. It has the 80-20 rule theory, clarification on one, it has nothing to do with a man's ability to have sex with a woman by virtue of being that woman's boyfriend, fiance, or husband. When it comes to your ability to have sex with a woman by virtue of you being her boyfriend, fiance, or husband, the 80-20 rule does not apply to you at all. It doesn't apply to men, those men, at all. Doesn't apply to them. Here's what the 80-20 rule, as I initially read it in Esquire and as I've known it from other voices that I trust. Here's the 80-20 rule theory. In simple terms, the 80-20 rule theory suggests or asserts that there's only about 20% of men in society. And again, that's not scientifically proven. In reality, it could be 22%. It could be 18%. It could be 25%. It could be 15%. Nobody really knows. It would take too long of an extensive study to find out what's scientific. So that's just kind of an arbitrary number that's thrown out. It's not scientifically proven. But the assertion is there's only 20% of men in society that will be able to have sex with women without doing one of these roughly four things. Without doing roughly one or more of these 4 things. There's only 20% of men in society who will be able to have sex with a woman, number one, without promising her any form of long-term, faithfully monogamous commitment. Long-term, faithfully monogamous commitment. That's number one. Number two, without spending a significant amount of time with that woman non-sexually in addition to sexually. Without spending a lot of time with that woman non-sexually in addition to sexually. Number 3, without promising to get that woman pregnant and helping her raise one or more children. Without promising to get that woman pregnant and promising to help her raise the children he helped her produce. And at minimum, without spending any significant amount of money on a woman, either short term, such as a trick or a sugar daddy, or long term, such as a financially generous beta male providing husband. That's what the 80-20 rule theory centers around, or asserts. It asserts that there's only roughly 20% of men who will be able to have sex with a woman without having any type of long-term, strictly monogamous commitment in place, without spending just as much, if not more time with that woman non-sexually than sexually, without promising to get that woman pregnant and helping her raise one or more children. And number 4, without spending a significant amount of money on her, either short-term, such as tricking, or long-term, such as a very financially generous beta male providing husband. That's what the 80-20 rule theory is about. You see, this takes me back to the term player hater. So I'm going to break it down. As young people say, I'm going to keep it a buck. You know, that's what young people say when they want to keep shit hardcore real. I'm going to keep it a buck. Currie is going to keep it a buck. You want to know one of the main reasons why you have guys who, as I described in my last 2 videos, as being player haters? You want to know one of the number 1 scenarios that makes men jealous of another man? Is not simply when a man has a better looking wife than them, or a better looking long-term girlfriend or fiance than them, or receives more compliments from women than them. But of all the scenarios that provoke a high degree of jealousy and envy, is when another, and I had some guys when I used to do my Blog Talk Radio show, I remember I had at least one guy, he admitted this. I had a few guys actually admit this, but I remember one in particular. His name was Kent, and I got a lot of love for Kent. Kent was real cool. But this brother Kent said something one time on one of my Blog Talk Radio shows. He used this analogy of Subway sandwiches. He said, I can't remember his exact words, so I'm going to be paraphrasing a bit, but he said, Alan, he said, I'm going to tell you what chaps my hide is when I meet a woman, let's call her Michelle, and on the positive end, I'm able to have sex with Michelle, which is the good news, but in order to have sex with Michelle, I had to hang out with her a lot. In other words, spend a lot of time with her non-sexually. I had to take her on a lot of dates. And then another guy comes along and he's able to get the same pussy from Michelle that I got without half the effort. Like, he didn't take her out on no dates. He didn't spend no money on her. He didn't hang out with her at all non-sexually. He just was able to fuck her just basically based on his looks, charm, sex appeal, etc. He said, man, I ain't gonna lie, Alan, man. He said, that kind of chaps my hide. Then he gave this entertaining analogy I've never forgotten. He said that would be like, say Michelle, the woman that I fucked, and this other woman I was a fuck, was a cashier at Subway, and I came through the line and ordered a certain sandwich, and I had to pay for that sandwich, whatever it was, $6.99, $7.99, whatever. But then this other womanizer guy, he comes and orders the same sandwich that I did, and she tells him, oh, you don't need to pay for it. All you gotta do is give me that coupon. If you know what I'm saying, the coupon. And he says, yeah, I'll text you the coupon. And then she just gives him the sandwich. Man, he had me and my entire chat room and the people listening to that particular episode cracking up. He said, man, he basically went on to say, he said, no man wants to pay for a sandwich when they see another motherfucker getting that same sandwich for free because they got the good dick coupon. The good dick coupon. But even though he was being lighthearted about it, I can tell by some of the commentary I listened to here on YouTube. particularly from what I call the type of guys who are real bitter and angry and resentful towards women. And in addition to being bitter and resentful towards women, they have a certain bitterness towards men who are popular with women, such as men who some guys refer to as select fuckboys and ladies' men and womanizer types. Yeah, man, a lot of men don't like to see, again, I go all the way back to my senior high school, which I talked about either my last video or my next to last video. I said I had a lot of guys play hate on me. That was half the reason why I had a lot of guys play hate on me. When I was as far back as when I was a senior high school, you were talking about like 1981, was because it wasn't just that I had a lot of girls in the city of Gary that found me attractive or sexy or whatever else. But I had a lot of girls who would make it publicly known that Alan Currie, I would fuck him just to be fucking. Like, they basically were like, he wouldn't have to be my boyfriend to get the pussy. I would just give the pussy up to Alan Currie just because he's a good-looking, sexy motherfucker. He wouldn't have to spend time with me. He wouldn't have to take me out on no date. He wouldn't have to spend hours talking to me on the phone. He could get the pussy just based on the fact that he's a good-looking, sexy nigga. And see, a lot of guys didn't like that, man. And that goes back, if you were to truly do your history, that goes back for centuries, man. That goes back for centuries. This ain't just a YouTube thing, and it's not just a 21st century thing. This goes back decades and centuries, man. There's always been kind of a jealousy, envy, and hatred between men in regards to that. Yeah, a lot of men, they don't like seeing another guy being able to get pussy quicker than them, easier than them, and less expensively than them. They don't like that. They don't like that. Yeah. That's why a lot of men, plain and simply, don't like to be cheated on. Among other reasons, I ain't gonna say that's the only reason, but that's one of the reasons why a lot of men take cheating real hard. A lot of men, like, say, if they're married or engaged to be married, or they got a long-term girlfriend, and they're fucking their girlfriend, fiance, or wife, but they're fucking her after spending a lot of time with her, in most cases spending a lot of money on her, you know, dealing with a lot of her personality quirks and bullshit. They don't want to see it's not just that they don't want to see another motherfucker fuck their girlfriend, fiance, or wife. That's not just the simple problem. What most guys in relationships or who are married, one of the things that chops their hide when their girlfriend, fiance, or wife cheats on them is the fact that their woman is giving another dude the pussy, and he didn't have to deal with all the shit that they had to deal with. He didn't have to spend time with them non-sexually. He didn't have to spend no significant amount of money on them. He didn't have to deal with their personality quirks and bullshit. He just was able to put his dick in her mouth and or pussy, get his rocks off, and then leave her alone until the next time they fucked. Guys don't like that shit, man. Guys don't like that shit, man. So all to say in a nutshell, I heard a guy in the last 24, 48 hours on the podcast saying, he said, some people say I'm angry because I haven't been chosen by women. He basically said, you're damn right I'm angry. You're damn right I'm angry that I haven't been chosen by women. And all non-select beta males should be angry too. I'm angry and all non-select. Again, I always give a shout out to Ron Wills. He's the one who popularized the term select and non-select. So shout out to Ron Wills for that. I don't use those terms in my books. That's his terms. But this guy was saying, he said, some people say I'm angry that I haven't been chosen for most of my life by women. He said, you're damn right I'm angry. That was funny to me. He said, you're damn right I'm angry. And he said, all non-select beta males should be angry too. And he went on to say how he didn't want his tax dollars. He didn't even want women in society to receive any of his tax dollars because he said, if they ain't giving me no pussy, then they shouldn't be able to benefit from my tax dollars. Can we all say delusional? What did I say a long time ago on that specific note? What did I say a long time ago? People don't refuse to listen to Alan Roger Currie. I said, man, as long as we live in a civilized society, women are always going to have an edge up on most men. Meaning they're going to be able to benefit from your tax dollars, even though you ain't getting no pussy from them. A lot of laws and public policies are going to go in their favor. They're going to be able to choose the guys who they really want to fuck because they're making their own money. All these guys who talk about, well, women need to get back in line and women need to know their place and all this shit. Until the zombie apocalypse happens, you're being delusional. Shit ain't gonna never happen. Not in no civilized society. Want to make a bet? I'll put money on it. You know I'm a money maker. I'm one of them motherfuckers. I put money behind my words, bro. I'll bet any of y'all motherfuckers. Y'all ain't gonna change shit in no civilized society. Y'all ain't gonna put no woman in her place in no civilized society. Please. Nigga, well, let me scratch the N-word. Fellas, please. Please. Y'all delusional as fuck. That's what's wrong with a lot of y'all. Y'all delusional as fuck. Y'all ain't gonna put no woman in no place in no civilized society. The only way you can ever put women in their place is when you live in an oppressive society, a society where oppressing women is acceptable. And there's probably, as we know, a handful of countries, even in today's society, that fit in that category. But unless we live in a society that's known for allowing the men to basically oppress women, that ain't gonna never happen. Shit. And you got women got access to guns and weapons too? Shit, yeah, I want to see y'all try to oppress women in today's society and see don't y'all get yourself shot the fuck up. Believe that shit. Y'all gonna get shot the fuck up. That's what's gonna happen. Trust and believe. Y'all gonna get shot the fuck up. Especially if these women got male feminists on their side too. Male feminists gonna do the shooting for them. But anyway, go back to the guy who said, see, I'm not choosing, I'm angry about it. Here's what a lot of guys are mad about. They ain't mad that a woman didn't choose them as a platonic friend. They ain't mad that a woman didn't choose them as a trick or a sugar daddy. They ain't mad that a woman didn't choose them as a boyfriend or husband, although in some cases that is the case too. But remember that video I did about choosing signals? And I said there's 4 different types of roles that woman will choose you for. Casual sex fuck buddy, long-term boyfriend / future husband, pay for play partner, such as a trick, sugar daddy, or long-term beta male, financially generous beta male provider, and purely platonic friend. I'd say out of those 4 roles, the number 1 role that men get the most frustrated when they're not chosen for, some men might get frustrated when they're not chosen for any of those 4 roles. But I would say in my personal experience and observation, number 1 is casual sex fuck buddy. A lot of guys are bitter that they've never been able to be a woman's casual sex fuck buddy. Yep. That's the number 1 thing that will cause men to become jealous of other men. More than any of those 4 roles is the casual sex fuck buddy role. That's the number 1 role, like, I'll speak for myself. Of those 4 roles, that's the number 1 role that has provoked a lot of men to become player haters of me. It's not men who were jealous that I was another woman's platonic male friend. It's not men who were jealous because I was a woman's trick or sugar daddy, although I've rarely have ever been in those roles because I've been broke for most of my life. Not when I was a woman's long-term boyfriend, or for the first time now, a woman's fiance. But of all the 4 roles, if no one role I've provoked the most jealousy, envy, and bitter hatred from other men is when men were able to see that I was able to have casual sex with women quickly, easily, and inexpensively without spending any time with them non-sexually. And they weren't able to do the same thing. Those men who were hating on me weren't able to do the same thing. And my attitude is, I can't help you with that. I've tried my best by being a dating coach, and I've been able to help some men get themselves more into the casual sex fuck buddy category. I will say I have successfully helped a lot of guys with my dating coaching get into that category. But there's some men, as I've said in another video, I'm not a miracle worker. Some men, I can't help them in that category. There's some men, I said this as far back as 2017 here on YouTube. There's some men, they ain't gonna never be in a woman's casual lover fuck buddy category. Ever. Ever. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's some men on the earth, they ain't gonna never be able to get casual sex from women for free. I'm not talking about tricking, paying for it, like being a trick or a sugar daddy. I'm talking about for free. There's some men ain't gonna never be able to get casual sex from women for free. The closest they're gonna be able to come to that is to be a liar and a manipulator and trick women into having casual sex with them. And me, Alan Roger Currie, I'm going to always be here to call those motherfuckers out and throw salt in their game every fucking chance I get.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.
I have to agree with you on the communication piece, because I actually did take a session with Alan Roger Currie, and he gave me a line that I did not think was going to work, and it worked. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my God!
Man, he's the master. He's the master of the verbal seduction. He got that communication piece down pat.
It really worked. Yeah. It just simply worked, and I just didn't think it was going to work at all.
Verbal seduction, man. I'm like, clearly, this guy's the Michael Jordan of seduction. Like, you know, come on now.